Welcome to 10 Career Questions. My name is Kevin Abnell, and I'm the Executive Director of the York County Alliance for Learning. This video is part of a series of interviews where we speak to various professionals working within each of the 16 nationally recognized career clusters. The purpose of this series is to get to know people working within each career cluster and to help promote a better understanding of various career paths. Resources like this video are intended to help promote career awareness and career exploration as students move closer to making important career decisions. Today, we'll be speaking to someone in the Human Services Career Cluster. This career cluster is focused on preparing individuals for employment in careers that relate to families and human needs, such as counseling and mental health services, family and community services, personal care, and consumer services. Thanks for being here today. Welcome to 10 Career Questions. We're going to just jump right in with question number 1. What is your name and who do you work for?
Yes, so my name is Tannisha Fuentes, and I work for Community Progress Council of York, also known as CPC. So we're the community action agency here in York, Pennsylvania. To give you a little history, we were established as part of Johnson's administration's war on poverty. Our agency's mission is to empower individuals and families to move towards self-sufficiency and to advocate for change and promote community growth. We have different programs. Just want to share a little more as we're talking about human services as a whole. We have early childhood education programs, housing and financial counseling, women, infants, and children, known as WIC. We have a self-sufficiency program, workforce development, and our Community of Hope program.
Great. And now specifically at CPC, Tannisha, what's your job title and what do you do there?
Yes, so I am the Director of Workforce Development. Our workforce development program consists of guiding and supporting participants along their educational, training, and career paths. So we assist participants with career assessments, exploration, planning, training, and access to supportive services with the goal of career matching and placement leading to a livable wage.
Great. Could you possibly describe just generally the industry that you work in?
Absolutely. So in workforce development, I want to give you a little background. Community Progress Council of York, we are helping individuals move towards self-sufficiency. Therefore, the majority of the families that we serve live in poverty, have little to no work experience, may have limited education, skills training, and may be faced with various barriers to employment. So in our industry, we help individuals create a plan of action to help families not only gain employment, but sustain employment. So we are really huge in collaborative efforts with external agencies to provide services and connect our program participants with opportunities to develop and enhance their education skills and training that promotes employability.
Great. How long have you worked in this industry and what are some of the past jobs or past roles that you've served in?
Sure. So I've worked in the industry approximately 10 years. Prior to joining CPC, I worked in higher education at Harrisburg Area Community College. There I worked in their academic and career advising center. So I started as an administrative office technician and then served as an academic and career advisor.
Great. So what kind of training or education did you go through to get the job that you're currently in?
Sure. So a little background on my education. I started at Harrisburg Area Community College at HAC, seeking an associate's degree in social science. From there, I enjoyed the educational journey and wanted to go further. So I then obtained my bachelor's degree in social work and a master's degree in adult learning.
Great. What would you say, we oftentimes talk about soft skills, but I'm trying to call them essential skills now. A lot of people are trying to do that just because we don't want it to think that it's an option. What are some of the personality traits or some characteristics that you think people who are going to be successful in your field should have?
Definitely active listening. I think it's very important that when you're working and helping individuals that you can kind of pick up on questions that they're not asking directly. So when working with folks, you really have to listen, be empathetic. There's a need to develop trust to build that relationship, to continue working with that individual or family. Having the skill to help build confidence, helping others identify and draw out their strengths. Flexibility, working in the human services field, life happens. Oftentimes you're working with folks that are going through some rough times, so you have to be flexible and help navigate through that process and journey. Supportive, a planner, proactive planner, even though plans don't always go as planned. It is important to have a plan in place. And willing to work with others and collaborate is huge in the field.
Great. What would you say is the best part about your job?
I would say witnessing others get ahead, celebrating everything from the small steps until they've reached their final goal. Having the opportunity to see others restore their sense of hope and believe in themselves. Sometimes, when you're going through a difficult time and you have to reach out to a social service agency to seek services, that alone can be draining. So just witnessing that journey and the other side of that as they're accomplishing their goals. Being able to identify skills and traits that they did not even realize that they had. And now they're able to tap into those strengths and use them in their career industry of choice.
That's great. I almost hate to ask this follow-up question to kind of flip it on the other side, but what would you say is the most challenging part about your job, or maybe just the industry in general?
Sure. Well, workforce development, human services field, individuals, we can say that they're experiencing some type of struggle in their life. They're going through a tough time. They're seeking services to kind of get them over that hump. They may be seeking employment opportunities or training opportunities to either get income or increase their income to provide a better life for themselves and their family. But when you first work with individuals in the field, oftentimes it's not abnormal for someone to be in a crisis, and when you're working with an individual or a family that's in a crisis situation, that they're lacking their basic needs, it really makes it difficult to focus on workforce development, on seeking and obtaining employment when your basic needs are not met. So it's challenging. However, it's doable. It's what we do. This is where that need to be flexible and empathetic and to be okay with going back to the drawing board as necessary to help the individual and family to move along through their journey.
That's great. And thank you for sharing that. And I know, very similar in education, it's like if that food and shelter sort of base of the pyramid isn't being met, it's very difficult to think about, well, what am I going to be learning and where am I going to be working? It's, you need to get those initial things addressed.
Because individuals are in the tyranny of the moment. They're only focused on their immediate need, and it's very difficult to kind of plan ahead when you're living through that. Yes.
Right. Well, the majority of the people, the intended audience that's going to be watching this will be high school students for the most part. So when we're looking at the next 1 to say 5 years, depending on what level of education they decide to pursue, in the next 1 to 5 years, how do you think the industry is looking in terms of career outlook? So, do you think there's going to be a need to hire more people? There are a lot of impending retirements. So what do you think it's looking like in the next 1 to 5 years?
Absolutely. I think that this is a field that is needed, and considering the current climate with the pandemic, the amount of individuals who may have never sought a human services programs in the past because they were stable, they had great employment, have recently lost employment and maybe need to re-enter or seeking rapid employment skill and training. So this is definitely a field that I would say has projected growth. Absolutely.
Great. And our final question, again, keeping in mind that the majority of people watching this are going to be high school students, what would be one piece of advice that you would give a high school student who may be looking to get into this industry?
In this industry, it is so easy to get involved. Like, we're always looking for volunteers in the human services field. Find someone that you can shadow, do some networking, feel free to ask questions. The human services field is very broad. So I definitely encourage individuals, if you have an opportunity to volunteer, to meet with someone, to pick their brain, go for it. It's definitely a valuable experience.
Great. Well, believe it or not, that is the 10 questions. Tannisha, really want to thank you for doing this and for sharing your story, and just really appreciate you taking the time to be here today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too.